Imagine you're juggling your budget, trying to balance buying groceries with paying the rent, and also maybe going for a fun night out. It's all about having enough money to live now, but also planning for the future, right? Well, in the wild, animals do something very similar, except with their energy and not with money, because animals don't actually have money. From a tiny mouse to a giant elephant, they all need to figure out how to balance their energy between different activities like finding food, just simply surviving through the day, and then also enough energy to eventually reproduce. Mammal moms, this job is especially hard. When a mammal mother is pregnant or producing milk, the energy costs shoot through the roof. It becomes really important for mammalian mothers to balance their own energy requirements with that of their demanding and growing young. If you're a mother bat, this job is especially hard because there are certain aspects as a bat mother that makes life really challenging. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of BiteScized Science you can sink your teeth into. I'm your host, Dr. Mariëtte van der Walt, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of bats and their unique reproductive challenges. Bat moms have some pretty clever strategies when balancing their own needs with those of their babies. Those strategies is called the energy compensation hypothesis. What is energy compensation, and how do bat moms use it? Today's illustrations feature the Natal long-fingered bat, which is one of my favorite bat species, probably because I studied them during my PhD. Let's get started. Lactation is a remarkable process where mother mammals convert the food that they eat into milk, a rich source of energy and nutrients for growing babies. For example, when a mother bat eats, her body breaks down the food into its different nutrient components, which are then absorbed into the bloodstream and transported to the mammary gland. In the mammary gland, the nutrients in the blood is transformed into milk by these little grape-like structures called alveoli. This milk production process is really important because it ensures that babies receive all of the essential nutrients that they need to grow, but it is a really energy-intensive process for the mother. Mother mammals use different strategies to manage their energy during reproduction. One of the strategies is called capital breeding, and it's used by animals like seals. The strategy that animals like seals use is to eat a lot of food in the months leading up to reproduction so that they can build up their fat stores for when the baby comes. It's a lot like saving money in the bank if you know you have a really big expense coming up later, like for example, you want to buy a car. This strategy allows mother seals to have enough fat reserves to be able to feed their babies, even if they're not eating every day. On the other hand, bats are known as income breeders. They don't have the ability to store a lot of fat, like seals do, so they have to rely on the meals that they eat every single day to fuel milk production. And that's similar to living paycheck to paycheck. You have to use the money that you get today to buy food today, and you don't have any left over to put in a savings account. This means that bats need a steady supply of food every single day in order to raise their babies. That's especially important if you think that a baby bat can weigh 27% of its mother's mass when it's born. So to put that into context, a bat that weighs 10 grams, a baby bat would weigh 2.7 grams, and that's quite a big proportion if you're only this big. This is why, if you're a bat, the timing of when you give birth to your baby is especially crucial. They always time their births at the time of year when insect availability or food availability is at its highest. This way, the mothers can eat enough during a night to be able to supply her baby with enough milk to ensure that it grows healthy and strong, while still preserving their own energy reserves. But what happens when food resources are scarce? For mother bats, this is a big problem. When food is hard to come by, mother bats face some tough choices. Like other animals, like the capital breeders that can rely on stored fat reserves, bats have to keep going. Let's go on a little side quest just for a moment. So during my PhD, I did a study where I tested the energy compensation hypothesis on Natal long-fingered bats. And it was really interesting what we found during this study. So we caught about 2,000 bats, and we classified the female bat into whether they were pregnant, lactating, or non-reproductive. In the population that we studied, we figured out that 41% of the females out of the 2,000 that we caught were lactating, whereas 59% of the females were non-reproductive at that time. We also caught the bats in the early evening and, again, early morning. And so that gave us a good idea of how much the bats would eat during a night. Because if you catch them just as they emerge from the cave, they wouldn't have eaten anything. And if you catch them early morning, they would have had the whole night to feed. And this would give us a good indication of how much mother bats would consume. Our main finding was that lactating female bats, on average, had a 6% higher body weight than non-reproductive females. And that told us that they had to eat a lot more during the night, and it was supporting the energy compensation hypothesis. Now, let's return to when times are tough and you're a mother bat. In times of food shortage, mother bats need to extend the time that they're foraging. So this means that they have to forage for longer, or they have to take much longer trips away from the roost site in order to find enough food. This extra effort can be risky because it not only exposes them to more predators the longer they're away from the roost, but it also takes a lot more energy to fly further away. They also might choose less desirable food sources, which could affect the quality of the milk that they produce, much like choosing fast food over a home-cooked meal. Of course, this struggle of food availability does not only affect the mother bat, but it directly affects the baby. If a mother bat doesn't find enough food to eat, her pup might grow more slowly, or its immune system might be weakened. It might also have a harder time surviving on its own. In really extreme cases, when food is really limited, a mother bat might even abandon her pup if she can't support both of them. Unfortunately, this is a harsh reality in the natural world, but it does ensure that the mother bat might survive another year to reproduce again. When faced with extreme resource shortages, bat moms also have some other really fascinating strategies that they can employ. Two of these strategies are called fetus resorption and delayed implantation. Let's look at what these are. Fetus resorption is a fascinating process where a pregnant female bat will reabsorb her fetus in times when resources are scarce. This is quite a drastic measure, but it does ensure that the female doesn't waste any energy on the pregnancy, and it does ensure that she can have more babies in the future. It allows the mother bat to conserve her resources that she would otherwise have spent on a growing pup that might not survive in poor conditions. On the other hand, delayed implantation is an interesting adaptation that allows the mother bat to delay the implantation of a fertilized egg into the uterus until conditions are more favorable. This means that even if conception does occur, the development of the embryo can be paused until the mother decides that she has enough resources to resume the pregnancy, as well as the subsequent demands of lactation. This adaptation ensures that baby bats are born during times of peak resource availability, and therefore maximizing their survival. Because bat moms and their babies are so reliant on food availability during this crucial time, it makes them really sensitive to changes in the environment. If their habitat is destroyed, or climate change messes with food availability, like insect numbers or fruit availability, it makes it really hard for bat mothers to find food, and it ultimately affects the survival of the entire species. That's why it's so important to protect their natural habitat, not only for conservation's sake, but also for the sake of the survival of bat moms and their babies. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and do subscribe to the channel for more future bite-sized science insights. Until next time!